Assalamu alaikum. I'm about to read today. We're reading the Torah again for the second time. On page 81. One explanation of this unusual state of affairs is that the Hebrew Bible time and again reveals God's power by showing how humans attempt to control outcomes or subverted by God. This recurring literary the significant extreme enlarges from record. A recurring literary pattern might be labelled the Bible's untold motive. God's plan always prevails, frequently even by the means of resistance to it or through those who seem to be marginal and powerless. Another likely factor contributing to this motive's prominence is Israel's self-perception in relation to its older and more dominant neighbours. Egypt and Mesopotamia. While we today think of the Israelites as an archaic culture, Israel saw herself as a younger upstart who arrived on the scene long after culture was founded. Mesopotamia and Egypt. In fact, various political thinkers regularly reacted against certain Mesopotamian and Egyptian religious ideas. For example, while the sun, moon, and stars were worshipped throughout the Near East, Genesis 1:14-19 describes them simply as part of nature and places them on the fourth day of creation. At least part of the reason that these stories highlight the notion that younger siblings supersede their elders by divine choices derives from Israel's own sense of her late-born status. It is important to point out that within these narratives of sibling rivalry, the non-favored are not necessarily hated by God or excluded from God's blessing. When one looks at the language in Genesis 17 and 21 describing Ishmael's heirs, it is clear that even though he is outside the covenant, he is just barely outside it. Not only is Ishmael circumcised, thereby receiving the bodily mark of their very covenant from which he is excluded, he receives a special divine blessing. Much the same can be said of Esau, who prospers in life and fathers a host of progeny. Genesis 36. In fact, even Cain, who was not driven from God, because he was not chosen, but rather because he was jealous and drove him to kill his favoured sibling. Page 82 and 81. Chosenness is not to be equated with the guarantee of salvation, and non-chosenness is not a sign of damnation. It is clear that being chosen is not purely positive. Experience chosenness often brings mortal danger in its way. Thus, Abel is killed. So let me see. clear that being chosen is not purely positive experience. Chosenness often brings more danger in its way. Thus Abel is killed. Abraham is driven by famine to Egypt, where his life is in potential danger. Isaac is nearly sacrificed to God by Abraham. Jacob was in danger of being murdered by his brother Esau, and Joseph is nearly killed by his brothers. This pattern of endangerment of the chosen, which usually precedes the eventual triumph or exaltation of the divinely favoured one, is central to birthday. Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, as indicated by Exodus and Gospel narratives. Thus both the master story of Israel, which is the account of Egyptian enslavement, and eventual freeing of Israel from this bondage found in Exodus 1 to 15, the Gospel Passion narratives, which describe the death and resurrection of Jesus, are intensifications of the major theme of Genesis. In short, both Jews and Christians see themselves as God's favoured child who experiences tribulation that may result in death, but who ultimately triumphs and is symbolically God, actually resurrected into a new life provided by the grace of God. Examples of Jewish use of Genesis. The book of Genesis has left its mark on later Jewish religious thought in as to ways to begin. The creation narratives gave rise to a good deal of Jewish mystical and philosophical speculations spanning across many centuries. Aside from this, Jewish legal and moral tradition has often probed the characters in Genesis and their actions, including the character of God and his actions, to arrive legal and behavioural norms. For example, as noted in chapter 2, the rabbis highlighted the importance of clothing naked by noting that the first action God does for Adam and Eve after they eat the fruit from the forbidden tree, the specific fruit is not named in the Bible, is to provide them with garments. Genesis 3:21, page 83 and 82. Frequently, Jewish tradition prepares characters to draw contrasting moral portraits. Thus, no objection to God's plan to flood the world due to human evils, while Abraham engaged in a spirited set of arrangements to prevent God from destroying the city of Sodom and Gomorrah too hastily. Ultimately, Abraham convinced God that if there were 10 righteous individuals in these two cities, all their inhabitants, including the many wicked ones, would be spared. Interestingly enough, some streams of Jewish tradition link the rule that one needs a minimum of 10 adult congregants according to Orthodox Judaism, 10 males over 13 years of age for a prayer quorum, in Hebrew a minyan, to this story that Abraham saw. 10 as the minimum number for a viable community. Unsurprisingly, Jewish tradition developed a vast array of both biblical stories that fill out lives of the patriarchs and matriarchs. Don't know how to pronounce that word. Here we will give but one short example in which the ancient rabbis provide background information that explains why God eventually chose Abraham as the founder of the Israelite people. This is taken from an early Midrash collection focused on Genesis called Genesis Rabbah. In this passage, Abraham is presented as someone who openly rejected the idol-based religion of his fathers by realizing that idol worship was foolish. Terah, Abraham's father, was a manufacturer of idols. He once went away somewhere and left Abraham to sell them, the idols in his place. Once a woman came with a plate full of flour and requested of him, "Take this and offer it to them." So he took a stick, broke them, and put the stick in the hand of the largest. When his father returned and demanded, "What have you done to them?" I cannot conceal it from you, Abraham rejoined. A woman came with a plate full of fine metal and requested me to offer it to them. Page 84 and 83. I'm just gonna check my timer because I forgot to put my timer on. So I did 13 minutes left. Sorry, 1 hour and 13. Take away 13. Sorry, 2 hours take away 13 would be 1 hour and 47 minutes. Okay. I'll turn that off. I'll just do 1 extra minute because I kept on getting up and getting my tea wet. I'll stop filming now. Thanks for watching. Read description below. Have a good day. Assalamu alaikum.